We are absolutely flying through July, and we've seen some great games land onto both Xbox consoles and Game Pass so far this month. Xbox have just given us the news of the next wave of Xbox Game Pass titles coming to us for the rest of July and into August, and there are some huge bangers coming our way. I have 13 games to cover for you in today's video. So with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation. Get your drinks and snacks ready, and let's dive right into the games. First up, we do have a game that I have mentioned here on the channel before, and that was countless times as part of the Xbox sales videos, but finally the game is landing onto Xbox Game Pass, and it's so bloody excellent to see it arrive on the service. Robocop Rogue City is a game where it had no right to be as good as it actually is, and donning the metal frame of Alex Murphy in Detroit was a dream come true. For me, I personally love the combat here, as you do feel like the walking embodiment of an absolute badass, and it really nails that tonality and the kind of overarching themes that you expect from the TV shows and the movies. If you do want a solid FPS with some fantastic visuals and a pretty decent story, then this is a no-brainer, especially when the next game launches this week as well. My Friendly Neighborhood is also coming to Xbox Game Pass on the 17th of July, and if you're more into sort of quirky, creative horror games, then this one needs to be on your radar. This one though is set in a world where a once beloved puppet show has taken a very dark turn. You basically play as a repairman investigating a mysterious signal from an abandoned studio, only to find that the puppets there are very much alive and also not very friendly. What makes this game stand out though isn't just a creepy atmosphere, but how it looks to blend survival horror, smart puzzles, and surprisingly deep storytelling with some very unique retro TV aesthetics. It's like Resident Evil met Sesame Street in the best way and also the weirdest ways really possible. With its arrival on Xbox Game Pass, it really is the perfect time to check it out without spending a dime. I for one do not like horror games, so I will be skipping this one, but for any of you horror fans out there, this is a day one play for sure. Back to the Dawn hits Xbox Game Pass then on the next day on the 18th of July, and this one's a sleeper hit that you'll want to keep your eye on. It's set in a gritty prison run by corrupt guards and inhabited by a cast of anthropomorphic inmates, and you'll take on the role of a wrongly imprisoned journalist trying to piece together the truth and then plan your escape. The game here though really leans heavily into RPG mechanics, offering a mix of stealth, strategy, social manipulation, and raw survival. Every interaction from what I've seen really does matter, and how you choose to build your relationships or even just stir up conflict can drastically shape your path forward. It's not just a game about breaking out, it's actually about deciding who you'll become along the way. If you're craving something more story driven, layered, and a little bit unconventional, then give this one a shot when it drops onto Xbox Game Pass this July. Now, we do have a pretty awesome looking co-op game that I potentially could see becoming a sleeper hit onto Xbox Game Pass, and that is Abiotic Factor, and it lands onto Xbox Game Pass as a day one release on the 22nd of July. This one though brings a 90s sci-fi twist and rich character progression to the multiplayer open world survival crafting genre. Basically, you and up to 5 other players will be able to choose your own PhDs, build your own scientist, gear up, and then explore a massive subterranean complex. Of course, you won't be alone in this place, as it is filled with tons of supernatural artifacts, trans-dimensional foes, and then science experiments that have gone awry. It looks bloody incredible, and for me it's kind of scratching that old style Doom itch while still bringing some new elements to the table. It has seen some insane rave reviews since the PC launch over on Steam, so I can't wait for this one to land on Xbox Game Pass to try it for myself. Wheel World is one of those games that I've been personally keeping an eye on, as Annapurna Interactive have always sort of had that knack for bringing some incredible indies onto the gaming scene. As of the 23rd of July, we will see this land onto Xbox Game Pass as a day one release, and it sees us roaming the open world of Free Hub City and ensuring we can revive what are called the ghost bikes in hopes of saving the world from total collapse. I did do a little bit more digging on this one a couple of weeks ago to sort of get more of an idea of what we'll actually be doing. It does seem that we'll be exploring a stunning open world that's filled with impressive vistas, hidden secrets, and then races that will look to test our very own skills. Visually, I'm really loving that art style, and sometimes these arcadey sort of racing experiences do turn out pretty amazing, so I am looking forward to this when it lands later this month. I am currently reviewing this next game, and it's a pretty huge game for Xbox Game Pass. I know many Game Pass subscribers and also Souls-like fans have been eagerly anticipating Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and every time that we see even more trailers, gameplay and deep dives, it's looking even more incredible. To give you a bit of a brief overview though, you'll take control of Wuchang, who has been afflicted by a disease that is causing all manner of people and creatures to turn into horrible bird-like beings. We will basically have to battle our way through these grotesque beings, help the remnants of this world, and then just try to find a cure for this horrific disease. It seems pretty interesting from the outset, but I will have my review up of this one a day prior to its release date. With that, we don't have to wait much longer though for the full release, and you'll be able to explore the twisted realm of the Ming Dynasty on the 24th of July. Grounded 2 was a lovely surprise out of the Xbox showcase this year, and I know so many of you are actually hyped for another one of these Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of experiences. This one though is taking advantage of a brand new area, which is actually looking even larger and so much more dense than the original entry, and the team over at Obsidian are also emphasizing the requirement for mounts and more to traverse this larger world. This one though is taking the original characters, so don't expect any brand new ones, but this does mean their story does continue, and they even have some expanded skill sets, crafting, and so much more. I do have to state though that this one will be launching into early access like we did see with the original entry, so no doubt there'll be a ton of fixes, content, and more to flesh out the experience later down the line. But for now, this is still looking like an incredibly comprehensive experience, and personally, the 29th of July can't come quick enough. Mark your calendars, as Farming Simulator 25 is also coming to Xbox Game Pass, and honestly, I couldn't be more excited. I've actually poured hours into this series over the years, and this one feels like a true leap forward. There's something just incredibly satisfying about starting with a patch of dirt and slowly building a full-scale operation, planting, harvesting, managing machinery, watching your farm come to life one decision at a time, and so much more. This entry though brings stunning visuals, new global locations, even more detailed equipment, and also a level of depth that keeps pulling me back in time and time again. Whether I'm running a massive wheat farm in the US or just trying out rice paddies in Asia, it always feels very fresh and exciting. It is a more peaceful but very rewarding game, and yes, it does scratch that sort of just one more job itch better than most games out there. If you've never tried the series before, now's the time, as it lands onto Xbox Game Pass on the 1st of August. I have to say, I was not surprised when I did see the announcement of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 going to other platforms, and even though it is leaving that exclusive moniker, we still get a lovely upgrade on Xbox Game Pass as of the 12th of August, and we are getting the Enhanced Edition. This edition includes some added content, mainly being the developer's commentary, which has over 4 hours of behind the scenes bits and pieces. We then also get the addition of a photo mode and also the highly requested performance mode. This now means the game will have a toggle for a 60 FPS option on the Xbox Series X, but unfortunately the Series S does not include this update. It's a nice little upgrade, and I would be keen to see if you're going to dive into this new edition this August. We had the beta quite recently and it was good fun, but for me, I'm just so bloody tired of playing the same Gears of War game over and over again. However, if you are interested in diving in again to see where it all started, then Gears of War Reloaded will be landing as a day one title on Xbox Game Pass on the 29th of August. Of course, this package does include that brilliant campaign with all the bells and whistles, and even includes up to 4K 60fps visuals, which will now make this the best way to play the original Gears. The multiplayer is also intact with all the maps, that being the base game and also the DLC included, so you can dive in day one with a ton of Gears content at your fingertips. For me, this release is still kind of aimed primarily at PlayStation players, but is still a nice little addition to your Xbox Game Pass library, especially if you're interested. Obviously, a big bit of drama that has been swirling around the gaming sphere currently is the Subnautica 2 drama, and I would usually not include something like this. However, due to the game being listed as a day one Game Pass title, I thought it would be worth covering this to give you an update on this later experience. With both co-founders and also the CEO departing the studio, Krafton, who are the new publisher, are now delaying the game into 2026 to basically ensure the game is up to the standards that are expected from the community. Obviously, there is conflicting information about this, as the previous CEO and co-founders did actually state it was ready for early access, so at this point we don't really have an idea of how close or far away the game actually is. For now though, it is worth noting the calendar for a temporary 2026 Game Pass release, but I will update you as more comes in. We finally got word out of the Gamescom Opening Night Live Twitter account that we will be getting the full reveal of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 at their showcase on the 19th of August, and yes, I am still a bit mixed on this. The game is notably the first ever back-to-back sequel the Call of Duty franchise has ever seen, coming hot off the heels of last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and with how that game has been received over the past few months, especially after its launch, and the player base dipping quite dramatically, it seems as though many really are excited for this new experience. Still, it does come to Xbox Game Pass as a day one release of course, and hopefully we'll get to see some more campaign, multiplayer and zombies news at the Opening Night Live this August. In case you missed it though, and I did mention it yesterday alongside our previous Game Pass video, but High on Life is now available on Xbox Game Pass as of today. This is the game, of course, coming from one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, and sees you saving the human race as they're being used as drugs. As you know, your guns will talk, the humor is off the wall, and the gameplay overall is pretty solid. It may not break the barrier in terms of anything new within the FPS space, but it's well worth trying if you haven't played it before, especially with the second entry also coming to Game Pass later this year. Unfortunately though, with it being a wave of new games, we are seeing some leaving the service at the end of July, so make sure to finish up these following games or purchase them to keep them in your library forever. The following games leaving Game Pass on the 31st of July are Gigantic, Kinutsugami Path of the Goddess, and Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. Of course, it's not a very big list at all for this month, which is quite good to see, but I still highly recommend that you dive into Kinutsugami as soon as possible, as that game is such a hidden gem. So, what game are you looking forward to on Xbox Game Pass, and how would you rate this offering for the rest of July and into August? Let me know with a score out of 10 down below. Remember to smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Xbox content here every single day, as over 75% of you have not joined one of the largest Xbox communities here on YouTube. Whilst you're here though, and if you want to see some more Xbox content, why don't you check out my review of Hold Fast Nations of War. This game recently released onto Xbox consoles, and I tell you what, it's a bloody good time.